Okay, so hi Erin for a Conscious Mind conversation.
Hello, Joe. How is it going?
Fantastic Monday morning here. It's raining heavy, so you may even hear a lot of that background noise.
Oh, I hear it. Yeah, I thought you were like at a nursery or something because it sounds very soothing.
Oh, yeah, it does. It's not the most motivational weather, I have to say, but it's certainly feeling very grounding, and yeah, I'm very grateful to be inside. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And grateful to be in New Zealand, I bet. Jealous.
I think where everyone is the most significant and important place for them to be. So it doesn't matter where you are at. Trust the universe needs you to be there for a certain reason.
Yes, of course.
What was I going to say? Oh, someone asked me a really good question. I think her name was Bev. She wanted to know, they always say about drinking water, and she understands that. And then they said, that some of the food is poisonous or toxic for our bodies. And she was like, tell me more about that. What foods can we eat then? And this has been covered in a few sessions, but probably quite some time ago. So if I can just quickly recap, this is what I feel like they want us to hear. Um, it's truly what your body is guiding you to. Remembering that sometimes we have bad habits with our food. They're sort of saying try to eat fresh and try to eat live food, which isn't like eating a raw chicken or a live chicken. It's more like sprouts and fermented stuff, and really truly whole foods, and try to keep away from processed foods as much as possible. But of course, everything in moderation.
Yeah, things are just not sitting well anymore. And I'm sure that's prevalent all over the place, but man, yeah, whatever feels good, really.
It's funny because often in sessions I ask, because this is a big thing. I used to love asking everyone's subconscious when I first started, was what is their foods that they can eat, and what they should eat more of, and what should they eat less of. Thinking, this is a really good thing to hear because it's quite surprising what they say. And often they say the response from the subconscious is green. And I'm like, what? Eat green what? And they're like, everything green, anything green, eat lots of it. And it's like, okay, that's really interesting. It's like they go by colors, which I thought was interesting. But I think we're not probably eating as much of our vegetables as we should be. And, they always say green. So green smoothies, whatever, plant-based stuff. Um, yeah, it's really interesting what they do say. And um, they told my partner not eat mushrooms.
Oh, that would be sad.
Oh, it was fine for him. He was like, "Oh, that's good."
Oh.
It was
So
weird.
yes.
I think it was because I was asking, like, I fully was like exploring his full body. What do you do with one subconscious of a partner? I fully explored all his body. Really got in there, and figured out. Because it was like free for all. I can ask anything. This was when this it was like he was one of my first 10 clients, right? So I was, and because I feel like I have ownership, I was like, I can ask anything, and bless the old version of me. Anyway, so I was asking, like, does he have any uh, what was it? Asking about his gut bacteria, asking about the heavy metals, asking if he was allergic to anything that didn't actually sit well with his body, and then ask this gross question. It came to my mind, and I just like, does he have any parasites? Like, not even knowing what really parasites are, and they're like, oh yeah, he does. And I was like, I literally like, sort of stepped back a bit from where he was laying, and I was like, so how did he get those things? They sound pretty gross. And that's when they said, oh, he got them from mushrooms, and that his body doesn't do well with mushrooms. And I was like, okay. Ironically, he's never listened back to his sessions.
Wow. Um, I that's really gross. I've got mushrooms in the fridge as we speak. I'm like, nope.
Well, yeah, I may have not explored that session to my best of my ability. I would do now. So, let's just accept, that I was playing around. And yeah, so anyway, I don't know why that's being shared. Um, and so yeah, so food in general, fresh food, sort of wash your food and trust it's going to nurture your body. Trust it's going to feed your body in a really good way. And sort of know what inflames your body. Sugar is terrible for inflammation. It really does a number on the body. And there's a whole lot of other things that really glue your body. I remember finding out asking, are they gluten tolerant? And, they said, oh no, the person should not have gluten. And I was like, oh, why? And they said it glues their bodies. And I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Don't quite know why. Tell me more, subconscious. But yeah, really interesting. Really interesting.
The body changes now are really interesting. Like really interesting. Like I am tasting metallic all the time
Mm,
now. Like my stomach is sour currently.
yeah.
Um I am drinking a ton of water, but like Matt, I yeah, going through some things apparently.
I wonder if you've got metals in your water system. Do you have a filter?
No, no, yeah, I went bougie and I've got like a delivery service. It's mineral water. It's yeah. So no, not I used to, not anymore.
We have a reverse osmosis water system. I've had it for years, and probably should like change the filters on that at some point. Just shopping list online. Um, yeah, and so that is really interesting. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh well, it's past. So yes, so really just so I think they want us to eat sort of to graze and have smaller little snacks as we go, and don't push our bodies. Don't stuff ourselves if we don't feel like we want to be stuffed. Eat if you feel like you want to eat, and just kind of. I remember when I did a session, and who was it? Anthony Bourdain, is that his name?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he was saying to make food and eating food, the practice of food, as an intimate experience with self. So try to not feel like you must eat in big family meal times. He said that sometimes because you have family conflicts, sometimes you're then feeding that conflict into your bodies with the food that you're eating, and so you kind of like you're attaching that emotion of the stress, and then you're feeling that stress, and then you're eating the food with that stress. It kind of lowers the vibration of the food and yourself, obviously, when you're in a lot of stress. So I mean, you've already survived Thanksgiving, fantastic, because you're high vibrational, but it was really interesting what he was saying. But that was like 2 years ago, so he may have updated information, but it's just interesting what we hear in sessions.
Oh, yeah, beyond interesting. Absolutely. I love the session that the channeling you did. Well, my last night, whatever time that was for you.
With Gaia,
Yes.
it felt like she came in to acknowledge and thank those who helped her in her really challenging times. And it felt like it was super high perspective. It felt like it was her, almost like her higher self form. And it felt like her guides as well. So it was a pretty advanced version of her, it felt like. And so, when it's super advanced, they're just so, everything's fantastic. And they repeat that saying, all is well. whoever whomever is saying all is well, this is a specific collective that come in from time to time, and they use the saying to like introduce themselves, and they repeat it 3 times, and it's not in many sessions, but it is in it's not in all sessions, but it's in many. I don't know, I really need to listen back to the sessions to actually listen to them, because I really truly haven't been listening to them myself. But um, the ones that I channel, I accept that this is the information that they want people to hear, and I just be the little meat sack monkey mind that goes and just does my part and puts it on so people can listen to it. So, that's my duty. So,
That'd
anyway,
be like the worst resume description ever for what you do, but yes. I get what you're saying.
skill sets, meat sack. Yeah,
Yeah. Monkey brain meat sack.
will work for peanuts. Yeah, yeah. It's cute. Yeah. So I want to start listening to the sessions as well. And when I've been listening to the sessions, I've noticed a few things. That they sometimes can speak incredibly fast, and sometimes they make us stop and listen and go back and re-listen to what they're saying. And it's so I don't hear them. I get senses of the words, and so sometimes they will give me the sense of an opposite word. So they will say empowerment, but what they really mean is the opposite of empowerment, which is then disempowerment. But because it's so fast, it will say empowerment when they're trying to say. There's a few slip ups where I'm like, oh, I've heard them say some things that I'm like, whoops, they were supposed to mean disempowerment, but they said empowerment then. But I think those people who are listening and truly want to understand and have the bigger perspective, they are not hanging on every word. They know their integrity and agenda and intention. And so there is fumbles within the words. So I was like, oh, that's. I wonder if that's me. It obviously is me.
Yeah,
It's
that's you.
user error. But
No, well, I mean, like the people who are listening who are really like committed to it, like they may catch it, but they know what is being conveyed. So
it's because I feel so distant from their messages. I really put myself out of worrying about it. I honestly just I don't want to be responsible for the information. It's not my information, so I push myself way back, and so I'm almost too relaxed, and so I'm not focusing on what they're saying, and so yeah, maybe I don't know. Anyway, I'm working on it, and it's interesting to listen back. So what I felt with the Gaia situation is that she hasn't fully shifted, but she really truly has, like, this huge part of her has left and is still here with us, and it's like she doesn't want to move fully yet to the new earth. She's still like a guide for us, and she's having her review of her own life, it seems. It was really interesting. But when I was listening back, I was like, I wonder if some people are a bit confused. So tell me, if you had to summarize what's happened for Gaia, where she's at, how would you okay, understand that session yesterday?
well, physically, I have no idea where she's at, but like as far as what she's going through, is that what you mean?
Yes, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she's not attached to the planet anymore, but the
Mhm.
planet is still it's she is attached, but it's this like silver cord, but it's strange because it was like her mind's gone, her soul has gone, but there is still a cabling, and it's like yeah, it was strange, but sorry, share with me.
Yeah. So what I took away from it was the density drove her mad. Essentially, she was held captive in the density, and she got lost in the density, which we all have, right? And in that, she reached out to some real powerhouse light workers for help, and she asked for help from the collectives, which she received from, I believe, both the powerhouse light workers here and the collectives. And she is really going over her experience and learning and reflecting, and at the same time guiding us. But she, yeah, like you said, she doesn't want to. And she called it a golden cord, which I thought was, I was like, oh, gold. Gold. Because I normally say silver thread or silver cord when they talk about us, right? tied to our carbon-based bodies. So I thought that was interesting. But guiding people here, and she's not totally gone, but I mean, she is essentially out the building. I don't. That's what I took away from it. How'd I do?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right. She wanted people to know that she doesn't have any resentment or blame about what happened to her. I feel like if I had to summarize what is the experience of a planet, it is to be consciously aware of what's going on the planet, not necessarily like knowing and reading our minds, but more just being very balanced and stable and expanding and energetically expanding while being, yeah, I'm trying to still like wrap my mind around what's the life contract and experiences that a planet would. I think it's just evolving and having that life cycle. There must be lots more to it, and I can't really sort of, maybe it's above our pay grade to know the nuances of a planet's life contract and experiences.
Yeah, I would love to know more about it. It seems a bit beyond our comprehension, and everyone's honestly. Yeah. I mean, I found what she said was so comforting, and I'm not totally sure why. I think I was like concerned because of, the state that she was in. But now knowing that, well, I've known she's okay now, but just hearing from her was very reassuring, and I'm not totally sure why, but it was really great to hear her perspective or her team's perspective.
Mm. So I guess, it was this looping of this density that just didn't help her expand, and it sort of was making her go mad, but not in like angry, but just kind of shutting down and going within and not being able to raise her own frequency. It was almost like she was trapped in her own body, and it was like the energy, the density over one, her own sort of focus and her own goals. It's a really, I don't know, it's interesting, and of course we could talk about it conscious mindly forever and a day. And I guess this is obviously giving us more questions for sessions. So, but I loved it, and she was so beautiful with like I when I listened back to it, I choked up twice when she said it was such a beautiful life, and she just loved being beautiful as the planet, and then when she said, the collective sort of said, remember you're unbreakable, and I just thought, wow, like, I don't know, I really needed to hear that, and it was just a really interesting perspective, and I'm so grateful that she's out of that pain, because it was like she felt traumatized. The last time I channeled her when she was still in the body, it was probably one of the most like she just wanted to scream. She was just in so much agony, and it just was, it's so hard to explain. Like, it's not a physical pain, it's this it's like she got so trapped in her own mind, she couldn't like remember who she was and what was happening. It was so peculiar, and I remember us doing the sound healing for her, and everyone, it was a whole bunch of us that was doing the sound healing together, and we all came and we all held a little bit of her energy, to then help her sort of gain her composure, to remember that she had her guides and she could talk to them. And holy heck, everyone from who was participating in that, like, it took quite some time for us to shake off that density. We all had a small part of it, and held her, and it was so full on, so full on. But we needed to be able to help assist her with that, to be able to kind of distract her from the pain and the pressure, to actually kind of gain a little bit of composure, to connect into her team. Um, So yeah, it's really interesting. I can't wait
Yeah,
to be able to
it's
explore it more. When we're not in dimension, when we're not in these meat sacks with these monkey minds.
uh it surprises me still. I don't know why, but I'm just shocked about how much pressure and energy is being released from the. I don't know why this shocks me because I've talked about it several times, but the volcanoes, it's like there's so much pressure that's built up. I don't know if that's even the right word, but like energy that's been stuck inside. I mean, that volcano, the Canary Islands, is rocking and rolling still, which they told us would happen. But seeing it with our, monkey brains, monkey eyeballs, it's just I'm like, wow, yeah, it seems pretty dense. Like well, I don't understand the life contract of a planet, and I don't think I will until I'm out of here. Uh, I absolutely believe that the density can make people quite lost, and we've all been there. And I can see how a planet could take on a lot of that herself. So I don't know. I find it fascinating and just so reassuring that she's better and doing well and thriving.
To know that her life contract changed from how she was wanting to experience this to how it went. I mean, everything can change, things can change, and it is supported if there is great lessons to be had, regardless of whether they're hard ones or easy ones or fun ones or challenging ones. They're still lessons, and there is no good or bad. So if there is value in the lessons, they are allowed by the collectives. Um, just thinking about the journey of Gaia's life that I know of, I'm like, I don't think this will be part of my own journey. I think the whole being a soul for a planet is definitely not something that I'm gagging for. It kind of almost scares me. I don't know why. Maybe it's some inner work I need to do. Um, so yeah, obviously I have no real reference or concept truly of what it would be like to have the consciousness experience of a full planet. And anyway, yeah, lots of things to think about. Um, there was something else I wanted to share, and I'm trying to think. Oh, a lot of people are still confused about why do I have this information? What am I supposed to do with this information? It's so hard to talk to other people about this information. Why me? They almost feel like it's this big, it's a huge responsibility and almost a burden. Like, oh my gosh, now I've got all of this information, and with great wisdom comes great responsibility. And oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It seems that we have to respect that other people's life contracts may not be to this level of information. That's totally fine. But it seems like the purpose of understanding and hearing this information is when the shifts occur, that you are able to be in that balance and know the bigger perspective and be of assistance then. It's no point talking about New Earth to people until you're almost there. And like, remember when they said that people will be doubting it even when they're on the ships? I think that's adorable.
Yes, yes. Oh man, I've ran into man, I've had an interesting week with people, and I think they want me to talk about this. Obviously, I know this information. The people in my life do not, and that's by design. We are all spread out. Like Joe already said, where we're at is the perfect place, and where we need to be. So I agree. Although New Zealand looks really pretty, and I'm jealous. But anyway, I have had so many conversations with people. They are very attracted to my energy, and I've been in the office and people are flocking to me. And I know for the empaths that are listening, they're like, well, yeah, that happens to me all the time. Like, of course, I'm a great listener, but I am not empathic. I have not been this, I am not the one that attracts people with my calm energy until now. And I have seen some, uh, in, I've seen where people are at and the level of looping, and it's really been fascinating. I'm very grateful to have this information so that I can help them. And really, I've been working very hard on trying to calm them. Like they're so worked up and so looping and so lost in that density. So I do have a few examples, because it's been a really big learning curve for me. Do you think I should go into like different examples and what I learned from it?
If you want to share it.
Well, what I've noticed in general this week is that people are they seem to be really looping on like one I don't know, whatever they're focused on, they're looping on, and they just want to talk, 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 talk. They don't want to listen. They are just frustrated and just want to vent. And I've learned this week that really it's just my energy and telling them everything's okay, with the occasional question of, do you think that's helpful? Well, what do you think is happening? Well, how do you feel? I mean, that's literally all they're able to hear because they're in that looping pattern. So really, I just wanted to share that as a just an overall theme I've seen this week, because they're not in the place to hear about New Earth. Of course, they're not. They're very upset and they're very triggered right now. So those just open-ended questions that they discuss, just asking them questions. I'm really focusing on doing that with people.
Cool. And remembering that it's not our responsibility to tell them about, anything that they're not asking about. They're sharing with us their vulnerabilities. We must honor their vulnerabilities, listen, and then instead of, if, it's very obvious when people are sharing, are they wanting sympathy because they want to be a victim, or are they truly asking for support and some guidance, or are they just complaining? Like, it's use your intuition to figure out what are people wanting from me and why. And we want to often, you used to want to save them and fix them and heal them, and so you would panic around them trying to give them the best advice and wisdom and almost do everything for them, because you loved being able to be the problem solver. And now you're listening, and it's fantastic because you're actually asking them questions. You are not even like reacting to them anymore. You're just asking them as a serving you, and that probably
Hmm.
making them question, is it serving me?
Yes, yeah, it's been just the level that people are uh, that they've been so worked up has been like next level. And this last week, and that's obviously by design, but I'll give an example. My one boss was telling me that he got in an argument because he decided not to get the inoculation. His friend did. His friend is having severe health problems, and they almost got in a fist fight over it. And I was about they were just arguing, and they literally like 60 something year old men almost got in a fist fight over this. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, think about where he's coming from. He's scared. He's got really bad health problems now. He is so scared. Like, just think about where he's coming from. Um, Thinking that would be helpful, but it wasn't really helpful to him to even hear that, because he himself is actually terrified, of, I don't know, the peer pressure or everything that's going on. But yeah, man, the looping is real. Looping is real. um, yeah, I just had to listen, tell him everything's going to be okay, and leave it at that.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, no one wants their looping to be dismissed, or it's a fine art to have a good conversation with people, especially when it just seems like so much hard work for them to be in that level of looping, and it's just it's just it's I feel so so compassionate for those people who are so deeply struggling and just cannot make sense of the state of the world. That must be just absolutely so scary for them and confusing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Uh, yeah, it's the next level of that. And you, we are privileged to know this information and to be given guidance. but our job is to help those people. People are struggling so much right now. They're being triggered and pressurized, as we know. Um, and it's difficult knowing because of their level of anxiousness and being worked up. It is difficult it's harder to, in my opinion, to to read them and like what they need. Just do your best. And um yeah, I don't know, that's what I'm telling myself right now, because I'm like really seeing a lot of that, and really working on my compassion. And actually my team talked to me about compassion this week.
Fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
the it seems really interesting and super purposeful how people are having to like hype themselves and mentally prepare themselves for these events, these rallies. And it was really interesting to hear from them yesterday about how they have to overcome all of these fears and worries. And it's incredible. It's like, oh my gosh, you know when they say everything's purposeful and significant? Yeah. Like they had to really overcome huge fear, to get to where they could be part of it. And it's like, wow, they don't even realize how much inner work they actually release and process, being able to even just simply attend. And no, I'm not endorsing people doing anything. I'm not suggesting or hinting people should do anything. Use your free will to do stuff. I'm not trying to manipulate or coerce anyone to protest or be in rallies or do anything at all. Like, I would love, it's not no pressure, but if people want to look at their inner work, that would be cool. But free will.
Those rally no, freedom rallies, yeah, so beautiful, so beautiful. I do, I love seeing them on Telegram. It makes me so happy.
The energy of them, just seeing some videos of them, is really powerful. Like, it can move me. And when I think about them and put myself there, yeah, it's very strong. And I love that profound sense of unity. They literally get an energy high from them. This is why they want to do them every weekend now, which is fantastic. It keeps them balanced from their normal in between, their working weeks and what they have to be pressurized into doing. And I am very grateful for the information that we have, because I can see the bigger perspective of why everything needs to be so intensive to make people force and be focused into dealing with this. And there is a huge amount of emotions, and lots of people are still wanting to be in worry and panic about this. And what if we never shift and we actually have to live in this depopulation agenda, was it 2030 or whatever it is. Like, it's just not even going to be factored in. And I think this is where we're noticing many people sharing disinformation that are actually part of the dark agenda, if you want to call it and label it the dark agenda. They're giving people much information to keep them in fear and freak them out. It's not to give them the truth so they can be empowered by it, so they know the truth. It is literally, they've given them this information to freak them out and keep them stuck. And all those people that are angry about the dark agendas and the dark forces, but are angry about them, you're actually still buying into that nonsense. It's a frequency game, and high frequency vibration is the answer, and keeping high is your responsibility, and high vibrational.
Yep, totally. Yeah, the best thing you could do is unsubscribe and ignore it. Yeah, it's so freeing too. I highly recommend it.
Mm, yeah. Well, the thing is that when they're talking about past events, we know we can't fix the past. I mean, we can heal the past. We could go back and ask the collectives, okay, we've decided, because we want to use our free will, we want to save all the children so they never experience those crimes against humanity. And the collectives would be like, look, you little 3D monkey mind, bugger off. You can't see the perspective of it. You can't see the really important lessons and significances here. We're not going to do that. they will know that we're coming from this compassionate place. We think we're heroes because we're trying to save humanity and remove all this trauma and all these horrible things. But the only reason why they were allowed was because it was teachable experiences for people to awaken. So someone asked for us to. That's right. Someone asked the collectives to stop the chemtrails, and it's like, because they don't want to be poisoned, and it's like, well, we've already done a session about that, but the collectives will not heal, and they will not change really important, significant things that are helping humanity grow from experiences. They will not do it. They will not allow people's free will to do that. It's bigger than us thinking we can heal the world, save the world, and protect the world. The reality is these are necessary experiences, and it's above our pay grade to think that we are that powerful or influential. We can only see it from a tiny slither perspective. We do not have full comprehension of all of the effects of all. And it's such an ego-based conversation to have when people suddenly think they have this like free wish list that they can. I want to feed the children that are starving, heal the world, never let anyone be homeless, never let anyone have heartache. Everyone's just full in love. And it's like that's what we are when we're at source. That's what we are doing when we're in our home planets. This is different. We have to be here. We want to be here, experiencing these challenges for the lessons and the growth, and to be able to grow from it and expand from it. And it's easier said than done to be in that neutral, especially when we are heartbroken. But you have to see it from a bigger perspective of the significance. And so many people have wanted to be really angry with me because they did not want to release and have acceptance of, say, the crimes against humanity. I certainly am not, I struggled with that too. I didn't even want it to be true. I was hoping that what I was starting to hear was nonsense. And, unfortunately, this is how horribly blocked and absent-minded humanity was, that they weren't even seeing what was going on behind the scenes. They were oblivious to it, turning their backs to it. People who should have been able to have spoken up all didn't speak up. They all either was bought by money or they started doing their own crimes against humanity. This is how corrupt humanity has gotten. And I don't think that this was part of Gaia's personal experience to have all these crimes against humanity happened on her, and for humanity to experience it. But this is where it had to get to, this ridiculous extreme point, just to get people to stop and notice and be compassionate enough to actually stop their routines and actually see what the manipulation is, actually see where their control is. It had to be so extreme because if it was so subtle and behind the scenes, it kept slipping behind people's attention.
It is heartbreaking when you learn that, and when you learn it's not a theory, it happened. But it's hard. It's hard to hear, but we have to move past it and see the purpose behind it and respect those beings who chose that. And I choose to believe that those were life contracts. I choose to believe that that was that served a bigger purpose. Because if not, I mean, it's not. I don't know. I find it very comforting, the whole life contract thing, and just keep in mind that those were life contracts, and now it's up to us to respect them. Is my opinion.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that while they're so angry and they want things to have changed, and it's already occurred, you literally cannot go back to change that. And I mean, I've already asked. I was that person that was like, can we just stop it, fix it, undo it, undo it, undo it. That was when I was trying to heal people from vaccination injuries. I was trying to use this work to solve what I thought were problems in the world. And you can't solve problems when there is lessons and solutions to it. You have to have the bad to grow from it to find the good again. And this is that duality. This is why things are so extreme, to make people stop and notice. And it's very obvious what's going on now for those who have stopped and noticed. But many people are so busy and just following that they haven't sort of realized. And also, to be fair, when you start noticing this stuff, I mean, everyone's thought, oh, actually, I'm just going to pretend I don't notice it because I don't want to think about it, feel about it. I don't want to give it any attention or time. I want to be ignorant, and I don't blame people. Like, I would like to be in denial. And, for that, it's easy because it doesn't, being in denial with a lot of stuff can actually keep you in balance and neutral because you're not, fighting it or frustrated or angry. And then, when you can process it beyond neutral and have balance, but beyond balance, have the bigger perspective and acceptance. And I think everyone's starting to learn that acceptance. We've all had neutral for a while, we've all had balance for a while, and it's that big next step of acceptance, which then does make people confused when we're not freaking out about certain things because we're not buying into the drama and the low emotions of it. Having acceptance is that bigger perspective.
Totally. And that's where you attract people with your calming energy.
Yeah. Well, now that you're not sort of like frantic with your energy, that kind of repelled people because it was just too much. Whereas now you're super calm and you're really, insightful and engaging with them. You're not like, tell me your problem quick and I'll run away and fix it for you. You're like, keep talking to me. I'm here for you. I'm listening. And as soon as they realize that you've got ears for them, they could tell you everything. They'll be really open to you, and you're probably quite not used to hearing every personal detail and sort of life story.
Yeah, this is a new chapter in my life to have people come in and out of my office like as if I was like a counselor or something. And trust me, I'm thrilled and very proud to be able to help them. And I love them and I respect them and where they're at because they're processing, they're going through it. I mean, we're not all able to listen to this information. Not everyone is able to listen to this information, but those of us who are have a responsibility to help the people in our lives. And I'm literally seeing it. And um, I have a lot of compassion for them and where they're at, and I'm trying my best. It is not always smooth sailing with how to communicate with them because I'm seeing a lot of blocks. I'm seeing a lot of blocks with not being able to hear or even wanting to hear, but being calm, reassuring them, asking the questions is what I found the most helpful so far. But I'm however it looks, these people and whatever they're going through, like I'm still really proud because it's like the triggers are happening. People are working through it, be it the rallies or be it like ranting in my office and other people's offices. It's still progress. And guys, please don't be frustrated with people with where they're at. Be compassionate and just listen. Like they really don't even want you to talk. They just want you to listen. That's what I've learned this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Those people who are still processing some 3D traumas and densities, hearing the information that we know, it's way too much for them. They're struggling with being in touch with their emotions and what they're feeling, and giving them this bigger information can really push them over the edge of just fully shutting down because they just can't process it. This is why I haven't been fully promoting these sessions or making people listen. It's like, if you listen to them, fantastic. If you don't listen to them, fantastic. You're free will. But I know many teams are guiding the people that need to listen to them And you know, it's just very significant why you are being given this information and why you can handle this information. And also, so many times in sessions, the client wants to know, you know, my job feels really mundane and redundant, and I feel like I know this information. What am I supposed to do with this information? Should I be a practitioner, or what should I do, sort of thing. And every single time we ask, the subconscious says, even though their job is mundane and doesn't fulfill them and give them joy, their true job is managing those people and uplifting those people and being honoring those people with unconditional love and being a leader and showing them the way of being in balance and neutral. That is your true job. You may not have that in your CV and it may not be in your job description, but it literally is what people are being expected to do from their collectives, the people that you have in your lives. A kind of like, not your responsibility to fix and heal, but love, absolutely love them.
Totally. Yes, I love that. And I'm so I'm I'm giving myself words of affirmation because I love myself now. I am so proud of the growth that I've made so that I can help these people that I love tremendously in their time of need. And I'm proud of everyone else who's in the same spot and aspiring to be in the same spot. Because it's so rewarding being at neutral and not reacting to their emotions and their triggers and being able to listen and reassure. And yeah, it's I don't know. I love being a light worker. Even if I'm a bulldozer light worker, a reformed, it's still, I don't know, it's so rewarding. I love it so much.
An ex bulldozer.
Yeah.
What do you
Only on the weekends.
It's a hobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, what I did, sometimes I do a hobby. Some people call it trolling, but it's not. Well, maybe it is. But what I saw the other day, so I got sent a video about a volcano. I can't remember, in Indonesia, right? And so it was this massive, big plume of like whatever it is that, I want to say dust. It's not dust, is it? Whatever it is, ash.
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 Yeah.
Yeah, it was huge. It was pretty scary. And I saw someone making a comment and saying, "This is because of the unvaccinated." And I suddenly dropped down into a very 3D version of myself, because I'm still in the 3D, so I'm allowed, I guess, justifications, not responsible. But I screenshotted it and I wrote to him and I was like, "Can you please help me understand this? I want to understand how these two things can correlate." And I sort of was thinking, does he think he has a revengeful God? Like, I want to understand what's going on here. And his response was, "Are you asking me what the anti vaxxers and the volcano have to do with each other?" And I was like, "Yes." And his response was, "Oh, it was a joke." And I was like, I don't believe you. But I just responded, "Okay." So, you know, this is the dramatic of me being a troll, asking a question and then saying, "Okay." But what I discovered, and I guess reminded myself of, is that people hide behind jokes. So when they, I feel like he was a troll. I feel like he was just being a jerk, I guess, because it really is incompassionate, uncompassionate to, and inconsiderate to write something like that when, you know, it actually, I don't know the deaths, but it was so scary. And it's just like, can you stop bringing up this division and actually focus on the content of the video, which is about the volcano? um, so when he was held to task, he just dismissed it as like, "Oh, he was joking," and he's like, "Oh, anti-vaxxers get blamed for everything." But I'm like, if it was a joke, wouldn't you say, "I'm waiting now for someone to blame the anti-vaxxers," and that would have been funny, maybe, you know? But he was. It's like, that wasn't a joke. He said that was, you know, that was kind of, you know, again trying to make a separation between two different classes of people, those who are and those who aren't. And I just felt like, even if he was genuine and he was trying to do a joke and it missed, um, I haven't seen if he's edited it, and it's none of my business really. I mean, people can say whatever they want, trolls. Trolls' lives matter too, and so. But it just reminded me of how people who are trolls, when you actually like question them about it, even just like with bullies, isn't it common knowledge that bullies are cowards? And so when you actually confront them, they would say, "Oh, it's a joke. I was just being funny," or they they don't stand up to their bullying. They don't stand up to their troll behavior, and they justify it with it was a joke, but it's not. They're being dishonest with themselves. And the reason why I just went into this rant, Erin, is because I realized what I noticed and loved about your husband and yourself is your profound responsibility of your own actions and behavior. Like, no one's had fantastic behavior. We're in 3D, it's almost impossible, right? We have to experience that embarrassing stuff to grow and mature from it. And what I really was quite impressed with both of you and your husband, is that you both recognize the times that you probably weren't the best serving for each other when you're going through your own journey. And like, that's like profound accountability and wisdom. And I was like, wow, I don't know if anyone's told you this before, but it was really refreshing to have like such self-awareness that you knew and you both could own, oh well, that was a journey, a process, that's how I behaved at that time, but I've learned from it. I just wanted to share that with you. I thought it was super refreshing.
Oh, thank you. Oh man, yeah, what a journey, right? It's you know, again, grateful to have the higher perspective and this high frequency energy, because now like holding on to a grudge of any kind is just so tacky. My word, so tacky. Um
It's exhausting.
it's it is, it's
It looks
exhausting
good.
now. And yeah,
It,
yeah. And I had a very startling awakening with the Crimes Against Humanity. Vomited and then went down the rabbit hole and then found the higher perspective. Thank goodness. But it was pretty abrupt, and yeah, I was a bulldozer, and it was a hot mess. And anyway, I mean, there are things that my husband and I have both talked about, like, yeah, I could have done this better. I'm sorry, but like, but on the flip side, now it's like I'm not even. Well, I'm not. Well, I wasn't mad about it for a long time, but I was like, man, it's just part of the journey. Like, it just makes it an even richer experience. So grateful to have that perspective, but also so grateful to you, literally you. Um, Joe has been like helping my husband with her consulting, with really addressing some very tough issues with him, and in ways that he like can totally latch onto and digest. And it's been an absolute game changer, and very, very eventful, and like we're going in the right direction now. Like, lots of inner work processing, and I'm just so grateful and so proud of well, my husband, and then of course so grateful to you for the guidance.
well, it was interesting because we don't. It's ironic, even though we can talk often about this information and try and figure out where else should we expand and explore. We don't really talk about our personal lives. It's kind of, it's not really our main focus, and so I don't. I mean, you haven't really talked much about who he is and what he does, and I didn't think he listens to the sessions, nor does he need to. So when I was going to talk to him, I was like, oh my gosh, can I do it? Can I talk to someone who doesn't know about like the shift and the new earth and all this sort of stuff? So it was like, okay, I think I can do it. I think I can be normal and have a basic conversation with some humanitarian person and just see how it goes. And I did it. It was successful. I could actually have a conversation about other things.
It was beyond successful, and it's been really interesting because uh, he's at a different spot. Then, I mean, no, he does not listen to sessions. I don't see that happening ever. But he is on his journey and I respect where he's at, but it was very interesting. And this may come up for other people too. It's the same concepts, just different terminology, just presented a different way. Like I love everything woo woo and this high perspective stuff, but that's not always what's going to be received well. So yeah, you were able to really um, really break it down into something that's not intimidating, because inner work is really intimidating, really, really intimidating and scary when all of these very tough issues are bubbling to the surface. But anyway, it's been such a great week. So really excited. I'm just proud all around.
Jazz hands for everybody.
Mhm.
Um, I just wanted to say this. I had a client, ridiculously gorgeous, amazing, beautiful, just everything and more of a humanitarian. Like, we're so blessed and we're so protected and we're so supported because of people like her. Anyway, she was just sort of talking to me that when she sort of awokened up from her religious beliefs, it was quite a shock. And she didn't say the religion, but it was interesting because the gentleman that came forward who wanted to speak to her was Joseph Smith. And I was like, oh, why? Thinking to myself, why are you here, Joseph? And what do you, like, what are you wanting to say to her? And it was after he shared the message to her that she said to me she was a Latter day Saint, which makes sense that Joseph Smith would want to talk to her. And what he wanted to say is that he really wants the woman to come together and empower themselves and to show the men equal, that they're valuable as equals, and that everyone should be loved and respected and put into equal. I can't remember what he said because it's gone now from me. He moved on, but it was so interesting that it's like, again, for some reason, men. This is how he described it. Men's egos, because they've got men's egos just blew up, and they just like being sort of in this position of power and special and above others, and it kind of, for some men, it really expanded their egos too much, and it sort of hasn't made them humble, and that the woman, who are very equal and very, just as valid as everybody else, really needed to come together and to be able to sort of discuss this and kind of bring this perspective down and have it balanced. It was so interesting. I should probably talk to him more because I feel like he is wanting to make people hear his perspective of things. Um, it's He really sees that everyone's one, all is one, and that even just this division of gender and equality should have been something we should have mastered a long time ago. And he's saying that, of course, those with the big egos want to suppress people and limit people. And I really don't know much about the religion, and I'm sorry if people are like offended with what I'm saying and what I'm implying. Um, but it did seem like Joseph Smith was very clear that he wanted people to respect everyone in the same position. And it's kind of like, even it's like this weird hierarchy, and it's like even that's not necessary anymore. It should be everyone's included, and I'm sure everyone is included. I don't know, sorry, I need to focus on that more, but it was just really interesting that there's still just this fundamental difference and this like almost disrespect of the genders. Women's rights and equalities shouldn't be above or below men's rights and equalities. We're all one, we're all human, and we all should feel safe and not discriminated against in any capacity.
Yeah, that would be nice if religion did that. Yeah.
But isn't this? But like, religion's supposed to be like loving, and it was supposed to be like guidance and support and community. What happened?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I don't know. Yeah, no, I did not grow up in the Mormon church, but I grew up in a very indoctrinated religion similarly. So I appreciate him coming in and saying that. That's, I mean, I can only imagine what it's like looking like from that angle at the churches now and what they are now based on what they were founded on.
Yeah, yeah. What is this? What was the motivation for the, you know, what was it to the original intention? I mean, it's like Chinese whispers, isn't it? Really, in terms of it, and like look at Jesus's his process of life and the way he viewed life. I mean, it was beautiful. Can you imagine if everyone, incorporated into their daily lives true, profound love and acceptance and respect all. I mean, yes, he wasn't born perfect. He was still learning his way. And so, we almost discount the teenage years, don't we? Um, you know, um, and so, he truly was a man, but he did have a really strong moral compass. And as he was learning that, he had to make his own mistakes. He wasn't perfect, and he couldn't have been perfect if he had to have those in quotation marks mistakes to be able to grow from it, to expand. And so he taught himself and others taught him how to be the man he was. And it wasn't just an accident. He wasn't just born sweet baby Jesus. Well, he kind of was, but
Yeah, I see what you mean, but but then I mean, my interpretation, no one get mad at me. This is my interpretation, is that his yeah, his moral compass was kind of weaponized. Like, look, he was literally perfect. You will never be like this, ever. That's the vibe of the church I grew up in. Very, very different from, yeah, the actual teachings. And I'm just, every time that I hear him in a session of yours, Joe, or you channel him, I get blown away with the energy and the love and the message. Just very, very different from religion.
that reminds me of that session where they were saying energy doesn't lie, but people do. Because so many people are lying about the energy that they feel or their connections to spirits and their guidance, and like we know a lot of fakers, and it's interesting. I don't know what they get out of it, whether it's attention or we can only sort of guess, but it's interesting. I just wish more people would connect themselves so then they could have their moral, you know, confirmation of their own personal moral guidance. I think would be fantastic for humanity.
Yep, getting there, getting there.
Oh, and just finally, oh my gosh, seriously, when they were like, so today we want a session on love and we want you to title it Love Kills. And I was like, what on earth are you, like, what? No. And then they just were like, yeah, we think it's going to be funny. We're going to say that love kills everything, density, bad guys, like it was kind of, well, they didn't say bad guys, but it was kind of like bad emotions, and it's like they think it was a hilarious pun. And I just was like, oh. And every time they said kills, they could feel people like, oh, that's a bad word, like it was, yeah.
Guilty.
We're trying to, like, did you feel that way?
Yeah, well, I clenched up. I was like, "Oh, I'm clenching up. Ooh, interesting." I
The
was like,
power of, yeah, the power of a word. So interesting. But
mhm.
they thought that it was hilarious. And then they were like, they're just trying to be cheeky with it. But it kind of feels like that was more like the subconscious level and kind of not the bigger collectives. I don't know. But it was the trying, and I can appreciate that. And we all learn from something that's a little bit different from them. So it's true though, like when you hear it from that perspective, love does kill all of those worries and fears. And like, what I do they say love kills guilt? Because so many people are holding on to guilt and worry that they're not good enough, or they
Mhm.
don't want to release what has happened in the past, and so that guilt's like eating them alive now. Like, just love everything we did with our choices and our free will, knowing what we did, accepting all.
Yeah, I've been working on that a lot personally. Going really well. Because I used to beat myself up like that was on my resume. But not anymore, not anymore. Yeah, guys, just stop being so mean to yourselves. I speak from experience, and you can do it. You can move on from that, and it's so freeing. It's so wonderful.
It's true what they said about doing your inner work and releasing something instantly. And I think lots of people think, oh, well, I was in that relationship for 5 years, it was torturous, so if I want to do my inner work on that, it probably would take me 5 years to get over it. It could take you 5 seconds if you just accept that's a lesson, a purpose, it's significant, it was life contracted because obviously it had to have been, otherwise you wouldn't have been in that. And so just putting it all into bigger perspective will always, help release any of that worry.
Yep. Oh yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, worry seems very outdated also, as does looping and judging yourself on past behaviors. Like, oh yeah, we can get over this. We have so much help right now.
Yeah. It's exhausting. And I think those people who are big warriors, I think that's who, they're the ones that are almost like, why is my memory? I can't figure out, my memory's gone. I feel really absent minded. I can just feel the teams like we're totally trying to like shrink down their ability to worry about everything and panic and feel responsible for all. And it's kind of like just just minimize your expectations of what you're supposed to be doing. No one person can heal the world. No one person can solve all of the humanity's problems and issues. So just see what your expectations of yourself are, and is it truly maintainable? Because so many people, bless them, they want to just love. I mean, we can send out love to all, easy, but be responsible for all. It's not our job.
mhm, totally.
Even our children, we're not truly responsible for, like, these adult children. We have to accept. We have to, just like our parents and our friends, we just have to have acceptance that we have a role to play, but we cannot smother them or force them into our own direction.
Oh, absolutely. And my family is not going in the same direction I am, but I have profound respect for their own journey and the lessons that need to be learned, and that they have so much support and guidance. Uh, it, and I just feel very trusting, and I don't know. I know we're so profoundly supported. Like, I can feel my support. I can feel other people's too sometimes. I mean, no matter how it's looking right now, please keep that in mind, that like everyone's being really supported no matter where they're at.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the assumptions that people accidentally have where they assume that everyone should be at the same level of awakening. Yeah, it's all perfect. Okay. I'm gonna go now, and I will say my farewells. And it was good to catch up with you. And I hope that I, d- I don't feel like I explained myself very well with what I was feeling during the Gaia session, but it's not really how I experience it and feel isn't really significant to anyone else. So, it's all good. Feel into it yourselves and find out how you feel about it, and that's always the best approach, right?
Absolutely. Love it.
Love it. Jazz hands. Okay, bye.
All right. Bye.